Good morning and welcome to Economics with Uplift Education and Miss Williams. Today we will be talking about economic systems. When we talk about economic systems, we are looking at how economies function in different parts of the world. And also how the government influences how we as the business owner make money as far as the economy. So, really quickly before we get started, I want to do a quick review. So, I'm going to ask that you take out a sheet of paper and answer the following questions. Number 1, what are goods? Number 2, what are services? Number 3, what are resources? And number 4, what is scarcity? Take a second right now. I'll give you just a moment.
Say it.
We go to work, 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 work. We go to work, 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 work. We go to work, 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 work, work. We go to work, work, work. Come on, work, work, work. We go to work, work, work. Come on, work, work, work. We go to work, we go to work, we go to work, we go to work.
Keep working. You got this. Come on. 4 questions. What are goods? What are services? What are resources? And what is scarcity?
We'll break you out. Let's go, get it going. We came to get it going. Yep, we came to get it going. Yep. If you can't take the heat, then get out the kitchen. If you can't take the heat, then get out.
Great. Now that you've had a chance to answer those 4 review questions, let's take a look at the definition of what an economic system is. An economic system is a method used by society to produce and distribute goods and services, or how the government tells us what we can get and how we can get it. So there are a few questions that all economic systems must consider. And one of those questions is what goods and services to produce. When we talk about goods, we talk about items, usually natural resources that are tangible, things that you can touch, things that you can physically hold. But sometimes they're not natural resources. Sometimes it might be something like a product, like shoes, for instance, like Nike or Adidas. So the next question is, how will we produce them? Well, let's back up because we talked about what goods are, but let me recap just in case we need to remember what services are. Services are tasks or things that we perform that don't actually have a physical benefit. So, for example, if I were working for Domino's, the good would be the pizza if I were the delivery person and I were delivering a box of pizza. The service would be me actually taking the pizza to that person's home. The good was what was tangible. I could hand them the pizza. The service was me actually delivering the pizza to them. Did they get anything physical? No and yes, because they kind of got a good. But the service portion was me actually taking the pizza to them. So let's keep it pushing. So the next question is, how will we produce them? Right. I think that's the magic question to everything. We always know what we want, but we don't know how to do it. So we are looking at how we are going to produce them. And then once we figure out how we're going to produce them, we have to figure out who's going to get them and how much should we produce now versus how much we should produce later, which we discuss more in depth when we look at production possibility and we're looking at allocating resources to different places for production. Each economic system answers all of these questions in different ways, just depending on the kind of system that we're looking at. So, typically, there are 3 basic types of economic systems. There is a 4th one, but we'll get to that later. The first economic system is the traditional economy. In a traditional economy, economic questions are answered by the habits and the customs of that particular region or area or that country, because that's the way it's always been done. In a traditional economy, It's more so that they have developed a system and they're very comfortable with the system and they don't really want to deviate or move from it. So they answer it with all of the things that they do culturally or all of the things that are very unique to their particular region or their particular country. So the next thing we're looking at is children end up working the same jobs as their parents. And those jobs typically end up being in farming or hunting and gathering. So when we look at a traditional economy, we're looking at nations that may not, or practices that may not be fully developed. And they are still practicing some of the old ways of maneuvering as far as government. They typically fear change, so they want to stick to what they know. They don't want to step outside the box. For an example, some of these current, where you can see this practice currently would be with the Eskimos, the Amish, the Pygmies, and the Bush people. So when we look at a command economy, what exactly is a command economy? A command economy is an economy where the government answers the basic economic questions. There are advantages and disadvantages to a command economy. Some of the advantages are they're able to act quickly in emergencies and provide for all of their people equally. However, the disadvantage is that sometimes it can prove to be inefficient. And since there's no incentive to work hard or to be creative, it kind of stifles them at the same time. An example of where you could find a command economy would be in most communist countries such as China, Vietnam, North Korea, the former Soviet Union, or Cuba. However, we kind of identify China as more of a totalitarianist society. So next we're going to look at a free market economy. A free market economy, also known as a capitalist economy or a market economy, is an economy where questions are answered by the individual buyers and sellers. The supply and demand influence this type of economy, and people act out of self-interest. Well, yes, of course we act out of self-interest because in our business model, or because in a free market, there are a few barriers to get inside the market. So there's no one telling you you have to meet this minimum or this maximum to enter inside the market. So a lot of people will choose a business that they're really good at, enter the market, and it's going to be driven by their own motive because everybody wants money. Cardi B said it best, money. But hey, this is what drives the economy in a free market economy. This economy is known as free enterprise or capitalism because it is a free entry and free exit inside and outside of the market, just like I stated before. It is a market structure where individuals can move in social class or social ranking based on income, whereas in a traditional economy, remember, you would be taking on the same role or the same kind of job that your parent took on. In a free market, you are more free to move around and you are more free to make different decisions, whereas in a command economy, you wouldn't necessarily have those freedoms either because the government would dictate most of what you could do. So, we talked about the three main economic systems, but there is a fourth one. There is also the mixed economy. In a mixed economy, because no economy is pure market, pure command, pure traditional, some of the elements of each appear in all economies. Some have more elements of one economy than the other. If you take a look at the slide where we're talking about the mixed economy, if you look to the far left, there's the market economy. To the far right, there's the command economy. And right in the middle is the mixed economy. When we look at market, again, this is an example of what we use in the United States as far as how we conduct business. Remember, to the far right is China, where we are looking at a command economy where the government controls virtually everything. And then we look at the middle, which is Great Britain, which is a mixed economy. So it kind of pulls a little bit of the best of both worlds from both a command economy, traditional economy, and a free enterprise, free market, or capitalist economy. So let's take a look at what an American mixed economy looks like. While the United States is mostly a free market economy, it does have some elements of a command economy. So let's talk about some of the features of an American free market economy. Number one, economic freedom. Individuals have the right to choose. We can choose what kind of business we want to start. We can choose when we want to start it. We can choose how long we want to operate it, hours of operations. We have 100% free range to choose. We have competition because there's more than one producer of goods and services, which ensures that you have a choice. And number three, it ensures private property. Individuals have the right to own their own property, including their business. Self-interest, individuals get to make decisions based on what's best for them, not based on what the government tells them or what tradition says is best. Next is voluntary exchange. Individuals may freely buy and sell goods, so it's not regulated by the government or regulated by customs. And profit motive. Individuals are driven by a desire to make money. So we're going to take a look at the features of an American command economy. Seems like to go hand in hand. American command goes hand in hand with communism. Let's see how that works out. So first, there's government regulation of some businesses and practices in an American command economy. For example, we have wages, we have labor hours and safety practices. The government limits certain choices. We cannot buy or produce certain goods or services, and the government can provide aid to the needy such as Medicare, Medicaid, and welfare. So let's take a look at how would a business function under different economic systems? And what I gave you for an example was my pizzeria. Pizza sounds good. Actually sounds really good, but back on task. So in my pizzeria in a free market, I would answer the basic economic questions. I would determine how much cheese and pepperoni goes on the pizza. I would determine the quality of the cheese and the pepperoni. I would set my employees' wages, and I would set my own business hours. However, if I were in a command or communist economy, the government answers all the basic economic questions, so they would set the amount of cheese and pepperoni on each pizza. They would determine the quality of the cheese and pepperoni. They would set my employees' wages, and they would set my business hours. But the problem is, what does the government know about making pizza? Don't worry. I'll wait. Not to say that they couldn't make an excellent pizza, but hey, it's just to say, how could you tell me how to perfect my own craft? Let me run my own show. So if we look at what a business would look like in a command economy, everything would be dictated to you. You would have very little freedom to make the changes or do the things that you would like to do. So we're going to lastly look at what my pizzeria would look like in a mixed economy. In a mixed economy, the government and I would both answer the basic economic questions. I would determine the amount of cheese and pepperoni that goes on the pizza, and the government would determine the quality of the cheese and the pizza. I would set my employee wages, but the government would set minimum wages for my employee. I would determine my business hours, but the government would determine whether I'm safe to be open or not, and I would have to adhere to whatever the government tells me. So I hope that this overall review of what a traditional economy, command economy, a free market, or a capitalist economy, and what mixed economies are exactly, and some examples of where you can find them around the world. What I want you to do next is to create a Google slide presentation and compare and contrast a mixed economy, traditional economy, and free market economies. I want you to make sure that you're able to include images to serve as an example of each economic system and list at least 2 countries that operate under the same economic system. 2. There's one of them that you may have a little bit of a tough time finding, and if so, I will accept one country listed for that one, but you would have to do your research and figure out which one that one is. It was great meeting up with you guys. I can't wait to see you for the next lesson. Have a great day and see you later.
We go to work.